This module is about output, efficiency, and costs. And we've gone so far as to talk about unit labor costs, the cost of producing one more unit of output. How does that translate into prices? Well, let's take a look at producer prices, what used to be called wholesale prices, prices on the wholesale level. You can still think of them in those terms, and that might make it easier for you. They're just one step back from the consumer or retail prices that we all pay. Well, here's an index which shows the trend in producer prices. Once again, not very interesting, although you can see times when it rises more rapidly than others. But if you move to the bottom part of chart number 3.7, and you look at the bottom of chart 3.7, you can see the change in producer prices is anything but dull. And sure enough, you can see back around 1973-4, 1978-9, when productivity slumped, unit labor costs rose and prices rose. And of course, as you might expect, profit margins fell because as costs came up from below, they bumped up prices. Prices rose rapidly, but margins were squeezed between the two. Now you may ask, well, okay, Mike, I get it, but look, prices rose in the late 90s. The rate of inflation on the wholesale level got up to almost 5%, but didn't get to be any more than that. You said productivity was growing, and I understand that, and you said the growth in productivity was offset by the rapid rise in wages. How come if wages were rising rapidly, it didn't force up prices? And how come, since rapidly rising wages didn't force up prices, how come rapidly rising wages also didn't squeeze profit margins? Well, because of the fierce nature of competition. Back in the 70s, competition was mostly domestic. Nowadays, competition is also international. And the international competition tends to hold down the ability of management here in the United States to raise its prices. Not only that, remember, this was the new economy. The new economy relied upon continuous expenditures on equipment, especially the high tech of the PC revolution, to churn out more goods and services. And of course, as you churn out more and more supply, the extra supply tends to hold prices down. So whereas in the old days, a surge in costs could lead to a big surge in prices, nowadays, not quite so much. Wages rose, profit margins were squeezed, and of course, the outcome of that, and the consequence of that, was low inflation and reduced profit margins. Now, turning to today, you can see that inflation still remains relatively low. At the most, since the 2001 recession, it surged up to about 5% at an annual rate. Much, much better than the old days. We had rates of inflation up to 15% at an annual rate, or even higher. Right now, profit margins have recovered well because we haven't had rapidly rising wages, but we have enjoyed rapidly rising productivity. Your job will be to watch these measures of productivity, watch these measures of unit labor costs, watch these measures of prices to which you've been introduced. Keep track of them on the web. and then you'll be able to spot the trends, perhaps even before they develop.